God Will Provide by Glaribel Pinero-Amaro. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Matthew 6, verse 34. My parents divorced during my childhood. My mom, after being in an abusive marriage for almost a decade, had enough courage to get out of that relationship. But that decision put a heavy load on her shoulders. However, despite being ill, she believed she had made a wise decision. She was a strong woman. I rarely ever saw her cry, even though I believe she did cry almost every day. Looking back, I can imagine how scared she was. But she was a woman of faith. Faith that kept her going until the day she passed away. After the divorce, she couldn't return to work because of a heart condition. The abuse had affected her both physically and mentally. Thankfully, several organizations provided aid, and she took advantage of everything available to our family. She went to school and created a small childcare business in our home to sustain us. Even though money was always scarce, she managed to put food on the table every day for her family. She had asked God to save her from her suffering and from continuing in a miserable life, and He did. She taught us to wait on the Lord and follow His ways, even when it is hard, though there were moments when our faith was tested. I remember one Friday evening when our meal consisted of white rice with her homemade dressing and bean broth, and we had no food in the house to eat the next day, nor did we have any money. The three of us, my youngest sibling, Mom, and I, ate our last meal in silence that evening, our minds in turmoil. The only thing my mom told us that afternoon was, God will provide for us. Yeah, right, I thought. I was almost 15 years old. We had Vespers and went to bed silently. The following day, while we were getting ready for church, the father of one of the babies my mom cared for stopped by our house with a loaf of bread. I'll never forget his words. Gladys, I went to the bakery this morning and I brought this bread for you and your children. God had provided breakfast. We gave thanks to God and went to church. At the end of the service, the church treasurer asked to speak to Mom in private and told her to unlock the trunk of her car. On our way home, my brother and I couldn't believe our eyes. The boxes in our trunk contained rice, meat, beans, and vegetables, everything we needed for at least a week. The next day was Sunday, and another father stopped by our house to pay my mom for the previous week of babysitting. We had money for gas. Mom made it her goal to remind me of God's provision every single time He answered her prayers. And now I remind you that God will provide always, no matter what.